Welcome to part 3 of the financial crisis and scapegoating. I'm Suzanne Ross. This is Keith Ross. We're here again at the Raven Foundation, and many of you may know that our work is guided by Professor Rene Girard, who is an emeritus professor at Stanford University. And after he saw the first video, he sent us this comment. There is scapegoating in the financial crisis, and there is also responsibility, and the two may be united. Now, Professor Girard is rightly directing our attention to something that is often misunderstood about scapegoating, and that is that a scapegoat can be functioning as a scapegoat and still bear some guilt or responsibility in a situation. So we'd like to analyze that idea with you now by looking at the particular accusation that's being made against the CEOs of the investment companies, in particular connected with the bailout and whether or not that's providing a reward or what's being called a golden parachute for these CEOs. And one of our viewers sent us a comment and put it this way. The fury, if you will, in this House and on Main Street is the use of $700 billion to provide more golden parachutes for the guys at the top. When the guys at the top pull a Ken Lay and say they didn't know what was happening at the bottom of the lending tree, it rings hollow. So let's look at how these accusations against the CEOs are being made and try and parse out where the responsibility is and where the scapegoating is. So we're going to take advantage of Keith's expertise in the financial markets and pose a few questions to him on this subject. So Keith, first, can you explain exactly what a golden parachute is?
The golden parachute came to be during the 80s and 90s when there was a lot of takeover activity. Companies were merging with each other. And if the chief executive, the CEO of a company, came in, worked with the company for several years, raised the shareholder price dramatically, got a takeover purchase, the golden parachute was an incentive for him to participate in the long-term growth and evolution of the company. In the current situation, the golden parachutes aren't going to be worth anything because the stock prices have gone down dramatically. So the term golden parachute is really misapplied to this situation.
Well, does a golden parachute, that whole setup of that, in any way encourage corruption on the part of the CEO?
Only in that he's going to try to make the company as strong and healthy as possible. In it of itself, a golden parachute does not promote corruption. Certainly, if a person of poor character is going to try to manipulate the earnings or the sales or some financial figures, the golden parachute is the least of the problems.
Is the bailout in any way a golden parachute?
Not in anything that I can understand. For instance, in Lehman Brothers, the stock has gone to zero, and the employees of Lehman and the CEOs and all the executives own over 30% of the company. They have literally lost billions and billions of dollars collectively. The employees and the executives, they are not going to benefit. So the term golden parachute sounds like it might soften the blow for them, but it's a misapplication of the term.
So the bailout of these investment companies, the ones that have failed or are on the verge of failing, is it in any way a reward to the CEOs?
The congressmen today were talking about privatizing rewards and the the government having to take the losses. There are losses. The bailout is probably also misnamed. It should be called a recapitalization. I doubt highly that all that money is going to be used. In fact, probably a small fraction of it will be used. And the government will acquire these assets, which will mature and give a return to the government. So the CEOs are not getting rich off of this.
Off the bailout,
Correct.
even though it might save their companies.
none of the companies have really been saved. They've been forced into another iteration of the company as a subsidiary of Chase or Bank America or some other surviving entity. So none of the executives of these companies that are going to be helped are going to come out well in this at all.
Okay, well, let me ask it from a different angle then. Are CEOs of these companies responsible for the failures of their companies?
In my definition of what a CEO is, the answer to that would be yes. Their ultimate job is to preserve the shareholder value for the shareholders, protect the business that they're in, the employees, and that's why they get the big bucks. And if they do it well, they're worth their money. There are a couple cases. Jamie Dimon at Chase has done an incredible job of missing this whole fiasco, keeping his company in a position to actually take advantage of it, whereas obviously other executives that are going to need to be bailed out in companies that have gone under have done a very poor job.
So, okay, one more question.
Yep.
Are the CEOs of these investment companies that traded in the mortgage-backed securities, are they responsible for the financial crisis that's threatening Main Street now?
They are certainly responsible for their company's participation. They are not responsible for the whole financial crisis. We all are. It's everyone who had a mortgage loan, everyone who had a congressman that was encouraging Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to loan more money to people so they could achieve the American dream. Just 3 years ago, Congress was putting pressure on Fannie Mae to take on more risky loans, to change their portfolio. These are the same congressmen now that are outraged and trying to handle the bailout rules and regulations. But literally, Barney Frank's team was pushing Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to loan, get more money out there. People need to achieve the American dream. We were all caught in the emotion, enthusiasm of achieving the American dream, and now we're all caught in the contagion of the financial markets.
Okay, so to summarize, I think based on what Keith is telling us that we can agree that the CEOs are responsible in some large measure for the failure of their companies. But are they responsible for the financial crisis? Do they bear all that responsibility themselves? No. And many of the accusations that are being made against them may in fact be the attempts to deflect responsibility on the part of the accusers themselves. So if that is the question that needs to be asked. When you're looking at an accusation, you need to ask, is this accusation being made for some other motive than just to find and diagnose the real cause of the problem? If the motive is to either deflect responsibility or to enjoy some sense of glee that you've located the problem and it's not me, then this accusation may be rising to the level of scapegoating. And if you'd like to read more about Keith's analysis of this crisis as well as where he identifies the responsibility for it, please go to our website at ravenfoundation.org and you'll find his comments in the blog section. Thank you so much.